perhaps one of the most highly anticipated action RPGs of the 2020s decade, and we still have no idea when it's going to come out, but we do know it's going to be an action RPG. It's going to be developed by Square Enix, Creative Business Unit 3, and we do know that's going to be a PS5 exclusive. I'm talking about Final Fantasy 16. A lot of people have seen the trailer for this game, and a lot of people were impressed by what they saw, and a lot of people are happy about the fact that Square Enix is going back to a more medieval theme as far as the story is concerned, as far as the characters are concerned. And I believe the game has 3 main characters, and I believe the game it basically is supposed to be exclusive for the PS5 for the first 6 months or so, and then it's going to come to PC, and then I guess it'll be eventually on more game systems, because you look at Final Fantasy 15 from 2016, that was on multiple game systems. It was on the PS4, the Xbox One, Microsoft Windows, and then it was on Google Stadia, and then it got to a point where it became popular enough to be ported for Nintendo Switch as the Pocket Edition, and the Pocket Edition of Final Fantasy 15. Some people liked it, some people didn't. People liked it because it was similar to something you would see on Nintendo 3DS. And honestly, I have no idea whether or not Final Fantasy 16 is going to be ported for Nintendo Switch in the future, or if there's any plans among Square Enix to bring it to Nintendo Switch, but I think it really depends on how popular it becomes. The real question is whether or not Final Fantasy 16 will surpass its predecessor in terms of sales and in terms of commercial success, because as many people know, Final Fantasy 15 managed to reach over 9.5 million copies in worldwide sales in a couple of years, and it was probably one of the most high-profile RPGs of the teens decade, and on the PS4. I have no idea what kind of game engine that Final Fantasy 16 will be using, because it's common knowledge that Final Fantasy 15 utilized the Luminous engine, so my guess is that it'll probably be utilizing a similar engine or a more updated version of the Luminous engine. But at the same time, there's still like a lot of details about the game that we are in the dark about, and I feel like going back to this whole medieval theme, I think it's pretty cool, because in a sense, Square Enix is kind of going back to its roots as far as, Final Fantasy is concerned, because the older Final Fantasy games, 1 through 6, and you can argue with like 9 and 12, they were mainly, based off of ancient history and medieval, I guess, times, and I think that's what added to the series' appeal when it first got started. The fact that Square Enix is going back to that is pretty cool, but at the moment, we're still trying to figure out when the official release date's going to be. And as far as what people, I guess, would like to see in Final Fantasy 16 in relation to its predecessor, people would like to see improvements in this game, such as, I guess, a better open world environment. They would like to see a overhaul in the combat system, and they would love to see more emphasis on, I guess, the storyline in Final Fantasy 16. And based on what we see in the trailer, it did seem like the game was more, or it looked more story-driven than Final Fantasy 15 did, and I feel like the cutscenes were breathtaking. It was something that could definitely draw a lot of intrigue to those who were fans of the older Final Fantasy games back in the day that had medieval settings and all that stuff. So as far as this game is concerned, a lot of people are waiting for its official release. We're waiting for Square Enix to announce its official release date, and depending on how popular it is or how popular it becomes, maybe the game will be ported to Nintendo Switch, but I doubt the Switch version is going to be anywhere as popular as the PS5 version of Final Fantasy 16 if it is ported for the Nintendo Switch. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Final Fantasy 16 within the next couple of years or so.